Thanks for checking out the Midnight Reflections channel again. I'm going to show you a thriller movie from 2022 called In Our Prime Today. Don't read any further. Watch out and be careful. My name is Han Ji-woo. He doesn't belong at South Korea's most prestigious high school, where only the best 1% of students go. He was the smartest kid at his old, less advanced school. Now, though, he is surrounded by smart people and is near the bottom of the class, especially in math, which is thought to be the most important topic for getting into college. Ji-woo can't pay for teachers and boot camps like some of his friends can because they are rich. Ji-woo's math teacher, Mr. Kim Gun-ho, tells him that these grades won't get him into a good college and suggests that he switch schools. One night, Ji-woo's roommates give him money so he can sneak out and get snacks and drinks for everyone. The night guard, Lee Hak-sung, does catch Ji-woo on his way back though. The next morning, Mr. Kim tries to get him to say who else was involved with the plan, but Ji-woo is loyal and doesn't say anything. He is kicked out of the dorms for a while, but his friend Park Bo-ram notices him. They offer him money to say thanks after class, and are shocked when he says he doesn't want it because they're friends. They talk about other ways they might be able to get late-night snacks, but Hak-sung has to work as a guard, so today is not a good day for this. Kami Officer is his name because he used to be a North Korean and now works for the West. Then Hak-sung goes to see his doctor. It's bad for his health to be a night guard, and the doctor says that taking sleeping pills all the time throws off his biorhythm. Hak-sung tells him that's the only job he can get as a defector, so he'll take the pills unless the doctor can find him another job. When he's done, Hak-sung goes back to his apartment by himself and does puzzles, feeds his turtle, and drinks strawberry milk. The next day, Ji-woo is kicked out of the dorms. Bo-ram makes fun of him on his way out, and says she thought he might be more than just a loser, but it looks like she was wrong. Ji-woo cleans up his family's room before his mom gets home from work after a few hours. She raised him alone after her husband died many years ago. She's glad to see her son in such a classy outfit. Ji-woo doesn't want to tell her that he needs a place to sleep, so he tells her he was just visiting and has to get back to school soon. On his way home, Ji-woo tries to hide in the empty lab at school, but Hak-sung finds him. Ji-woo doesn't have a place to stay, so the guard tells him to go back to his office. While Ji-woo sleeps, Hak-sung finds his very hard math homework that he wasn't able to finish. As soon as the sun comes up, Hak-sung kicks Ji-woo out. In math class, the boy is shocked to find that Hak-sung has already done his work and given him all the right answers. Bo-ram tells Ji-woo not to tell the teacher, but she does. Ji-woo thanks Hak-sung for helping him and asks him to show him how to do it, but Hak-sung kicks him out again. After that, Ji-woo hears in the study room that these math questions are so hard that even the private tutors for his friends can't solve them. This proves how special Hak-sung is. He follows him around and begs Hak-sung to teach him, but Hak-sung doesn't pay attention. In the afternoon, Hak-sung is taking out the trash when he hears the teachers talking about kids on welfare whose parents don't care about them, and who feel bad about themselves. Mr. Kim adds Ji-woo to the list. When Ji-woo asks for help again, Hak-sung tells him to leave because being sad all the time isn't a badge of honor because it makes you stick to bad things. Ji-woo tells Hak-sung how mad he is that other people can get chances he can't, and Hak-sung agrees to teach him. As payment, he only wants strawberry milk. The next day, Hak-sung visits his friend in Jiaicheol, who works as the support lead for North Korean defectors in Seoul and helped him get here. They play board games and talk about their lives. You can give Hak-sung the lights he needs as a gift, but he doesn't take them because he didn't come to this country to beg for help. At night, Hak-sung turns on the light in the empty lab so he can teach Ji-woo there without being seen. Ji-woo can't tell anyone about these classes to begin with. He also can't ask any questions that aren't about math. Third, Hak-sung is going to teach math, but he doesn't want to talk about grades or tests. The first thing Hak-sung gives Ji-woo is to find the area of a triangle. Ji-woo agrees to follow all the rules, so he does this. Ji-woo says it's a middle school problem, so the answer is simple. Hak-sung tells him he's wrong by drawing a full circle around the triangle. It hurts Ji-woo that Hak-sung asked him the wrong question. He thinks it's unfair. That being said, Hak-sung says he's going about things wrong. It's important to know the question, but it's even more important to know the answer. To do math, you have to figure out how to do something. A fancy pen was a prize for doing well in school when Hak-sung and a friend were younger. This is why he calls Ji-woo's idea epsilon when he shows that he understands it. Epsilon means little, not important, or even funny. Hak-sung lets Ji-woo stay with him after class because Ji-woo still doesn't have a place to go. Ji-woo learns that Hak-sung likes classical music while they are talking about it on an old tape player. After Jiwoo asks him about his past, this gives Haksung something else to talk about. Jiwoo plays the songs on his phone, because the tape is old and doesn't sound good. Haksung is surprised by how good the sound is, and for the first time in a long time, it helps him sleep deeply. He doesn't even get out of bed until very late the next morning. Jiwoo will already be in class when he gets there. Mr. Kim has good news for his math students. They will not have tests this year. Instead, they will be taking part in the famous Pythagoras math competition, which will be their test. The teens don't like having only 2 months to learn, but Mr. Kim believes that everyone can win gold. Every day, Jiwoo has math class with Haksung. Boram starts to notice how often Jiwoo buys strawberry milk, as if he were hooked. Haksung tells Jiwoo that he has to do all the work by hand one night, when he needs to know how to solve a very hard problem. Jiwoo figures it out after 3 hours, so Haksung shows him something special. The great mathematician Bernhard Riemann did the square root of 238 times by hand to learn how to solve it, which is something you can't do by memorization. This is a great way to improve your math skills. So Haksung won't tell Jiwoo if his answer is right or wrong. It's up to him to be sure. Mathematicians do things like that. As the weeks go by, Jiwoo gets better at math every day. He gets bad news one afternoon. A close friend and fellow aide student is leaving this school to go back to his old one, saying that coming here was never worth it. Jiwoo needs to think about where he stands now. When she says that they're in the same position, even though she's rich, Boram thinks she's making fun of him. They can't talk when Boram's mom comes to get her. When they get in the car, Boram gets in trouble for hanging out with a poor kid. Is Boram also on welfare because her parents are split up? No, she doesn't get money, so it's not really the same. Boram's mother tells her off for listening to piano music because she wants her to study. To do this, she hired Mr. Kim to teach Boram alone, which is against the law. Jiwoo tells Haksung about his friend that night and asks him if he should move too, that he shouldn't give up, and that being brave is more important than being smart if he wants to win comes from Haksung. He gives Jiwoo the tasks he set up to make his point. No, the boy has learned the right way to answer, but the answers are good enough. Jiwoo can go back to the dorms that same night because his ban is over. He does miss having Haksung share a room with him though. The next day, Boram gives him strawberry milk and a card saying sorry. Following him to the empty lab after he gets distracted, she learns his secret. She asks Haksung if she can come over sometimes, and thanks him for taking care of Jiwoo. Haksung says yes, but she has to keep it a secret too. Boram calls him a commie officer, even though he is from North Korea. This makes Haksung mad. No, he has never been in the army. He didn't have to do it, so he didn't bother to say why. At that very moment, they see some students sneaking around campus. Because he remembers what happened to Jiwoo before, Haksung chooses not to do anything. One night, Jiwoo asked Haksung why he worked so hard on math. He says he did it for the grant and for his family at first, but as he learned more about it, he fell in love with it and thought it was even more beautiful. Then Haksung will have Boram play the piano with him to show her a cool trick. They can play the number pi and make a beautiful tune if you give each figure a note. To fix Mr. Kim's answer to a problem in the next math class, Jiwoo uses the way Haksung taught him to think about wrong answers. He does it anyway, and Mr. Kim tells him that even though the answer is correct, it's not what the reviewer wanted. That is all the students should think about, giving the answer that is asked, not the right answer. Jiwoo doesn't think this is all about how to do well on the test. He says the question will still be fixed on the test. Mr. Kim thinks he is rude because of this, and makes him stand outside the door for the rest of the class. Jiwoo then tells Mr. Kim that he's not going to move. Haksung comes back in the afternoon, and Ji-cheol gives him a smartphone to help people find him. In the end, Haksung can't wait to show Jiwoo. The boy can't help but notice that he's reading long papers on this very small screen. Jiwoo asks a classmate to help him get into the computer lab without being seen so that he can print it out and give it to Haksung. The Pythagoras test is the next day. Thanks to Haksung's lessons, Jiwoo did a great job. It's good that Boram can remember the music at first, but she quickly gets mad. She gives up because of the worry and leaves the class without finishing the test. Her mother keeps her at home and lies to the school about their trip, so she is safe. She never answers when Jiwoo texts her. In the evening, Jiwoo and Haksung go to a classical concert. Boram gave them free tickets to the show because her family's business was putting it on. Boram doesn't show up, but Haksung has a great time and tears up. After that, Haksung invites Jiwoo to his house for dinner. Jiwoo is shocked because he has never seen Haksung eat before. On the same night, someone put the Pythagoras test online, which made things very hard for the teachers. They need to quickly find the kid who did it, or the education board will fire them. Haksung and Jiwoo go to a bookstore to do some shopping. While this is going on, a stranger knows Haksung while they are there. This man from North Korea also calls Haksung Doctor. Haksung taught at the college he went to, so he knows him. He also calls Haksung the famous mathematical genius, and thinks Jiwoo is his son, which makes things difficult for them. Haksung answers some of Jiwoo's questions, but he quickly leaves the shop and thanks the man for the memory. Haksung thinks about the good times he had with his son Lee Taehyun, like when they ate dinner together, got the turtle, and bought Taehyun's favorite strawberry milk. The Riemann hypothesis is one of the most important math problems that has never been solved. A famous North Korean called Lee Haksung is about to do it. The next day, this was shown on TV. A group of experts are still reviewing it right now. Professor Oh talks on TV about how he met Haksung, who was from the North, at a math Olympiad when he was a child. Oh, I was from the South. They both got a nice pen from a famous scientist, and Oh still has it. When Jiwoo hears the news, he is the one who first goes to find Haksung and asks him about it. He talks about the Riemann hypothesis again, but Haksung tells him not to. At the moment, Mr. Kim is having a tough time with the test event because it makes people doubt his character. Someone at work finds relief when they watch the security tapes after a student spreads rumors about him. The next day, Mr. Kim calls Jiwoo to show him the recording of him leaving the computer lab with printed sheets in his hand without permission. Jiwoo can't prove that they have nothing to do with each other. He makes him a deal. If he agrees to move, Mr. Kim won't say who he blames. This is because of the tapes, and the fact that he got better at math overnight. It's still being said that Jiwoo shared the information, which makes Boram mad since she knows it's not true. Ji-cheol is also having a tough time. Because it has to do with military safety, North Korea doesn't like it when the South takes credit for Haksung's work. The NIS wants Ji-cheol to get Haksung to talk about what's going on TV. Someone who used to work with Haksung goes to see him to try to get him to join them in going back to the North. He lies when he says he wants to talk because bringing Haksung wouldn't make him angry, but bringing Haksung would make him forgive him. Ji-cheol tells Haksung he's sorry for not being able to keep the NIS away from him. Still, Haksung is thankful for the years of peace. Ji-cheol gives Haksung the paper with his study as he packs to leave town. Haksung thought it was too valuable to throw away, so Ji-cheol kept it. Jiwoo also shows up at that time, but he stays outside because he hears people screaming. It made Haksung mad and caused the death of his son, so he doesn't want to watch it on TV. Ji-cheol leaves, and Jiwoo tries to talk to Haksung. The old man yells at him, and won't believe they are more than just teachers and students. Then Boram calls Jiwoo while he is mad. She doesn't get why he's letting them frame him in this way, but he hangs up the phone and says it's over. Haksung also gets to the bus stop on time. He starts to think about the night Taehyun died, when he sees the face of his son on a stranger. After another fight over guarding other defectors, Taehyun got into a fight with his dad. It was his dad's choice to run away to the South, since he hadn't done it when his mom had cancer. It wasn't a better life for a scholar, Taehyun told him, to work at low-level jobs and be treated like dirt. Haksung said he did it so his son could have a better life. After telling his dad he should enjoy life with only math for company, Taehyun ran away and tried to swim back to the north. But a crossing guard shot him right then. Come back to Jiwoo. He sneaks into his house while her mother is asleep to use her mother's stamp on the papers, which are for the move. He gave Mr. Kim the papers in the morning, and Mr. Kim told him he did the right thing. Ji-cheol is looking for Haksung to take him to the TV show while he hides in a hotel. When Boram calls to tell him that Jiwoo has been moved, he is shocked. That afternoon is the time for the Pythagoras Award to be given out. Boram shows up out of the blue as Jiwoo is leaving school, steals his things, and drags him to the theater. The event starts with a speech by Professor Oh about the idea that was just proven. What Haksung does next is cut him off. After letting his turtle go free in the river, he quickly got to school. His pen is proof that he is who he says he is. Professor Oh makes him feel welcome and lets him give a speech. After making fun of Jiwoo's job as a guard, Haksung says he taught him math. After that, he shows the written thesis to show that he didn't give away the test. He also says that Mr. Kim told his private students about the test, which made Mr. Kim sad and angry, and he left. After that, Haksung tells some of his story. Because his own government was using his work to make bombs, he ran away to North Korea to study math the right way. He let his son die because he was too greedy to think about how his math skills could help him get a job or get into a good college. Haksung feels bad about the choices he made, but Jiwoo never thought that about him. He never told anyone his secret, even if it meant giving up his future. Ji-woo's faith in Haksung makes him cry. He says sorry and thanks her. There was no question in Ji-cheol's mind when he left. He had heard the whole thing. He does, however, wait outside for Haksung and offer to take him somewhere. Ji-cheol gives Haksung a new, valid passport that makes him a South Korean citizen and plane tickets to leave town, so the NIS can't find him for a while. He then throws away the smartphone he had given Haksung as a gift. Ji-cheol knows it will get him fired, but he still thinks it's worth it. After some time, Ji-cheol goes to see Ji-woo to give him Haksung's famous pen and the first draft of his thesis. Ji-woo and his college class go to the famous Oberwolfach Research Institute for Mathematics after 3 years. Ji-woo gives Haksung strawberry milk and a hug as a treat now that he works there. After that, they talk for a long time about math.